All righty. Thank you. Well, we'll call the meeting together.
Yes.
Today's Tuesday, December the 16th. The first thing, I've already made some introductions. We'll go through it again if anybody thinks we need to. For the recording portion, I just will. We have with us today, we have David Feldman from the SVID. We also have Lucia Navarro from Sunnyside Port District. We have our guy helping us, our guru for the climate resiliency advisor group, Mr. Calhoun. And also here, members are Juan Alvarez, EZ. I should remember that. And also Maria is on here with us on Zoom, and we're expecting Keaton any minute. So I think we can go ahead and start. So
prior to that, does anybody want to make a motion on either changing or not?
Oh, right. So we understood that Karen Erickson might be here in person. She may be late.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hold off on we'll see what when if she comes in. If she doesn't, at the end of the thing, if she's not here midway through, then we'll go ahead and give her an excused absence since she did contact us. The other person we're expecting to join us is Kenton, and right now he's just probably late as also.
Yes. He was supposed to be on Zoom.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Jory.
And Jory Anderson.
He is.
But he hasn't responded to you, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, well, what does the group want to do? You want to give him an unexcused absence?
Yes.
Okay, shall we do that?
Yep.
We can just do that. Like, are you okay with that, Maria?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just give him an unexcused. And Hector, do you want me to contact him, or do you think
I will work with Jackie.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that. Okay, the first thing after that is if you had any time at all to look over the minutes. They're here somewhere, right?
Yeah, you should all be inside there. I gave them two guys. They're actually right in front of Juan. To your left. There you go.
Oh, you're passing those around. There
I
you
passed
go.
those around already.
Did you get a copy of that?
So it's I thought I gave you a pair too. No.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I have them here.
There's yours.
I got extra. So this is November and October.
Okay. Okay.
No, I got them right. Yeah, I got mine. There you go. There you go. And
yep. Go ahead. When you get a chance, can you forward those to Maria?
Yes, I can forward. You should have got them in the link.
You should have got them in the link.
Yes, I put all the minutes in there.
Okay, so they are available.
Yes, they are available.
Has everybody had an opportunity? No,
I have for October and November.
October and November.
I just have.
Oh, you just got November.
I got October.
I got October.
There are 2 Octobers.
No, I got one of each.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hector,
Yes, ma'am.
you said that you have it in the link, but which link?
It should be in the invite. I attached them all into the invite.
Oh, into the invite.
Yes. Or it should have been an email. Well, I know I attached them all.
Yeah.
I attached them all on paper one day.
Okay.
So I see Aaron was excused in October, excused in November. Dory was unexcused for both.
Mm-hmm.
So do them just calling in justify an excuse?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, they gave me not the reasoning why they were not able to join.
Yeah.
And that was the thing is I was told that as long as they give me a reason, either via text, phone call, or email, then they would be excused with the permission of the committee.
So I think we need to revisit that because this is what now our, Julia, is it 3 meetings, 4 meetings?
This is our,
This is the third.
this is our
The
third,
third,
yes.
and we haven't seen Van de Graaff at all. There's gotta be, I mean, she's not joining by phone, she hasn't joined in person. I don't even understand why we're excusing these absences, just because they call in and say, I can't make it. Or I'm gonna try to make it, and then they don't make it.
And like I stated, you know, that the way the rules were told upon me, and their kids right here. Hello.
Hi, come on in, have a seat, we got all your stuff for you.
Um,
Well, actually, Hector does.
so
Give you a minute.
that's what I was told. And it explained to me. I can get with Jackie and get a definite answer on how we can move forward.
Right.
One of the things I think with George, since how we have 3 unexcused absence, if you count today.
Mhm.
That either,
Well, what do you know for sure is that excused or?
well, he hasn't responded to calls or emails.
And Hector, can you send those to me again? Because I'm not seeing them in any invite, the minutes, the documents that you're talking about. I don't have an invite that's connected to my calendar.
Oh, okay.
So could you resend those to me, the docs?
Yes, ma'am. I'd be happy to send them to you.
Yeah, and the whole absences and whether or not they're excused or unexcused really should be visited at some point.
Okay, well, let's.
Well, you know, you should probably find out if it sound if it was unreachable.
Well, you know,
I don't know when the emails were sent either. I just didn't have it in my calendar. But I'm here because I don't want to be kicked off, and my mother just died this morning.
Oh, right.
Honey, I'm so sorry.
No, because I could miss this or I'm, you know, I guys will.
We'll be copy.
So I'm just saying, find out the circumstances sometimes going on.
Well, you had called and said you were planning to be here.
Yeah,
And-
and before, like, you know, when I was here gone, I was with my dad, so my dad has the big stuff, the biggest stuff going on too, I was in, yes, Cad Scouts, so.
Well,
anyway.
it's the way the rules are, as you're saying with the city council, if you have 3 unexcused absence, you've got problems.
Yeah,
There you have we kind of go with the commitment problem.
right, I agree.
Of course, today you could have had an excused one with that, it's the family situation, but we're glad we are sorry
No, it's
about your
okay.
loss
I know.
and happy that you're here today.
Thank you.
So Maria, I think we'll join that again. We'll have Hector look into that about Mr. Anderson. If he doesn't have a good excuse, then we have to really visit the possibility that we need to replace him. And I think that we can all stand for that, right?
Right.
So at this point, I would like to entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Is there anything here that stands out? Okay. So in November, do we have that on as
Accept minutes.
Yeah, so
October, November.
can I entertain a motion? Does anyone want to make a motion to accept the minutes?
I make a motion to accept the minutes for October and November.
Motion to accept the minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any debate, any discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Maria?
Yes.
Yes, okay, and I too vote yes, so minutes pass. Right, so on our active agenda today, we have the presentation of the voting for the approval of the climate resilient plan, and I will
Is this the plan here?
No, I will get you the copy.
That should be the public participation.
This is what this is.
No,
No.
that's B.
Okay, this is big.
Yeah, the public participation plan of which we revisited.
Is that slam dunk can language that we have to adopt as a city, or is there places that we could amend it and adjust it, or how?
There was
How
discussion.
that came about?
There was discussion at the last 2 meetings of edits that were made. Those
Okay.
were presented, processed, and sent out the day after the last meeting.
And there's a copy of that somewhere?
Yeah, I'll just fill it out. We can, I might have a copy in my, if not, I'll make sure I'll give it to you.
How many pages was it?
15,
Yeah.
20, it's not a long document.
Yeah.
Most of it.
What was the
is-
major mission of the document? Your purpose or goals of that tonight?
I actually have a- I
Yeah.
have a notes copy here, but yeah, I mean, the goal is to get as much public involvement and comment as we possibly can, and be able to pivot if necessary.
So at this point, we're voting on the plan itself, right? Because we've already taken a few meetings to review it and edit, make additions. So I think everybody else is caught up to speed.
Yeah, so the thing on that is, we need to have approval of the plan now. We've had copies of it sent out to us, I believe. If not, we can certainly get copies again. But I believe we've reviewed them several times now and added some, I see the edit.
Some verbiage.
The verbiage are good on the in the minutes, we've had the different things that were added.
Where did the original bones of the document come from? I mean,
It comes from guidance from the Department of Commerce.
okay.
And we added some things about the local aspects of
Are you involved in
impacts.
all that, Julia?
Huh?
Are you involved in it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we're, yeah. All of us, well, even Juan has been brought up to speed on that, so he's familiar. We can let you catch up on that.
Okay.
Because we've done a pretty thorough job, would you say, Joe?
Yep.
As far as, I thought we felt pretty comfortable with it at the end of the last meeting, so. Okay. I want to step back a minute in as much as, we have a guest today. And let's take the vote on the climate resilience plan first. Does anybody want to make a motion to accept the plan?
I'll make the motion to accept the plan.
Thank you, Maria. Is there a second?
Yes, I second it.
1 second. Okay. Any questions or debate on that motion about the plan? It's pretty complete. And as you said, we can always go back and make adjustments to it. Is that not right, Joe?
Right.
If we need to.
Yeah.
So, okay, so if there's things that we find as we go along that we want to add to it, we can do that.
Yep.
Okay, so all those in favor of the motion to accept the climate resilient plan, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain because I haven't seen it.
Okay. Okay, so Karen abstains. I too vote aye, so motion
I haven't
carries.
enough of the majority.
We'll give you some reading material when
Yeah.
when you get a chance. Okay, I want to save the review of the document from the workbook for a minute. Because one of the things that we talked about at our last meeting was about the conservation, the irrigation districts. There was some. So Dave, if you're ready, do you want to kind of explain the flyer here a little bit and then tell us what's going on with SVID?
I am ready, thank you. Give me just a minute here to pull up my screen if I can share it. Let me see here. Technology is always fun.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I think,
Let's share that.
can you see it now?
Yeah, we can see where you has started sharing. There you go. All right, everybody can see that? Maria, you can see it?
Okay. Well, good
yes, I
afternoon. And
I can see it.
Okay,
Maria
good.
can see it. Okay. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to present today at the Climate Resiliency Advisory Team. I believe that's what your guys' name is for this committee. So, for those of you that don't know me, I am the district manager for Sunnyside Valley Irrigation District and have been since the fall of 2023, uh, after the retirement of Lori Brady. Previous to that, I worked as an engineer for the irrigation district for the past 20 years and was the engineering supervisor overseeing our conservation projects. So the Yakima Basin, when we talk about the Yakima Basin, some stats that we look at are 500,000 acres of irrigated cropland are farmed in this basin with roughly a $4.5 billion annual economy coming from that agriculture. We have an overallocated basin. Uh, the demand for this basin is 2.5 million acre feet, and our reservoirs make up roughly 1 million of that acre foot in storage. So a lot of times you'll hear the comment made that snowpack is our sixth reservoir. And the reason why that is said is because that we have a 1.5 million acre foot deficit that has to be made up every year from snowpack. So we can have a variety of different droughts. We can have a snowpack drought. We can have reservoir droughts. Last year's drought was more of a shortage of reservoir storage than it was in snowpack because we actually had a pretty decent snowpack last year. Um, so the recent flooding that we've all been seeing really does highlight the need for additional lower basin storage. Because as you can see, we have 85% of this basin's flow unregulated, which cannot be captured by the Bureau of Reclamation. So they physically cannot capture it at the reservoirs because it's runoff that's taking place below those. So really a dire situation in regards to our storage situation. So something to note there. The Sunnyside Division is one of the entities in the Yakima Basin. We serve roughly 100,000 acres. About 10,000 of those acres are south of the Yakima River. We have 60 miles of main canal, 500 miles of laterals, and roughly 200 miles of drains in our system. We're the fifth largest irrigation district in Washington, and our water rights portfolio is roughly 70% non-proratable or senior water and 30% proratable or junior water. So, what kind of drought impacts have we been seeing in 2025? Well, it's a continuation of the previous droughts, right? So we've had three droughts in a row. First time that's happened in over 3 decades. So we haven't seen that since the 92, 93, 94 droughts. Proratable irrigators or the junior irrigators were rationed to 40% of their total irrigation supply, which shortened their seasons and diminished their water usage. SVID being 30% proratable, we had rationing on our farms as well. So during the summer, SVID worked with the Department of Ecology and Trout Unlimited in a basin first of its kind agreement, which allowed our farmers to voluntarily fallow their land, and the water conserved from that fallowing was then put back into the river for fish migration flows. And so that was first time this has happened in our basin, something we're pretty proud of. And it was a successful program. We fallowed over 2,000 acre feet of water, and it helped with the outmigrating fish this spring. Our growers received $300 an acre foot for that water that they fallowed. In October, I think as we all are aware, we saw in the news, senior diverters as well as municipal users were curtailed on October 6th. This is something that has never happened in our basin and shows how dire the situation got as the season went on, with just almost no precip through several months. So we left the irrigation season in pretty critical levels. Reservoir storage was depleted down to historic lows. Pretty doom and gloom scenario. And I was joking before this meeting. I said, well, if I was to give this presentation a week ago, the outlook would be a lot more dire than what we're looking at right now. And so, right here on this graph, I added this graph on the right side of the screen, and right here, you can see a major uptick in this line, almost a vertical line here. And what that's showing us is the reservoir inflows from the 7th of December have steadily climbed at almost a vertical pace. On December 1st, we had 227,000 acre feet in our 5 reservoirs. And as of today's date, we have over 530,000 acre feet in those same reservoirs. So a 200,000 acre foot increase in 16 days. Pretty incredible stuff. And that doesn't account for all the flows that we lost out to the Columbia. So while the increase in precipitation is helpful, of course, it did come at the expense of our snowpack. And snowpack, again, like I said, is our 6th reservoir, and we are well behind our season averages for snowpack. So that's something we're definitely trending and tracking in the irrigation community, is the hope for some colder precipitation in the next few weeks.
Well,
So
it'd be nice. I just want to, not to interrupt you, but it would be lovely. I know we are kind of enjoying this warmer weather, but it would be nice for it to get cold pretty soon, so we could get some snow.
yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? We enjoy
Yeah.
we enjoy the nice weather, but we got to get this precip. So
Yeah.
so water conservation, here's what we're here to talk about today. And drought is always a possibility in the basin. We know that. And so a program that we entered into going on over 20 years ago now, in 2003, we entered into a YARBWEP program, which is the Yakima River Basin Water Enhancement Plan. And that program was entered into with the Bureau of Reclamation and Department of Ecology. And what that program allowed us to do is an aggressive water conservation program where we can save operational spill water, seepage water, and evaporation water to help better manage through difficult droughts. And without these major conservation efforts, the basin as a whole would be even further stressed during times of shortage. So what was the first phase? Well, Sunnyside Canal Improvement Project, or our SKIP project, was our first phase. And we identified that if we were to reduce operational spills through automation, we could save this water without making a negative impact on the growers within our district. So it's a win-win for everyone in the basin, because all it does is allows us to be more efficient. We're not wasting and spilling that water, and then it goes back into the river for benefits for egg, fish, and other stakeholder needs. So in this program, we installed 30 fully automated check structures, constructed 3 re-regulation reservoirs on our system, and deployed a SCADA program, or supervisory control and data acquisition system, that allows us to automate and manage the system. So main canal automation, our old check structures were check boards and gates, and our ditch riders would head out to these sites with these large weed hooks and have to pull these boards by hand, oftentimes after the fact of when it needed to happen. Well, what these check structures allow for is precise level control, and so they regulate an upstream pool level, and that fluctuates depending on the incoming and outgoing flows in those different reaches. So you can see some photos here of before and afters of canal automation. Re-regulation reservoirs are also a key component of the operational spills that we were able to recover. And what that allows for is as we enclose laterals, the water that stacks back up onto us in our main canal is able to be either put into a reservoir or pulled out of a reservoir depending on what the demand needs are. So it's kind of like a rubber band effect where it can make up for small variances in our system. And so we're allowed to run tighter and less flow down the system. And then, of course, without SCADA, none of this would work. And so here you see some photos of implementation of our SCADA system, which allows for remote monitoring of all of these facilities. So the first phase, and I've jumped a little bit here, but so the first phase we saved 29,000 acre feet, and that was the bulk of the operational spill water that was calculated. So that ended in 2013, and the second phase started just after that. And that second phase is the Enclosed Lateral Improvements Project, or ELIPS as we call it. And in that program, we average about 3 to 5 miles of pipe a year that we enclose. And to date, we've piped over 120 miles of pipe and installed over 2,000 flow meters. So these flow meters are a much more accurate measuring device, and they provide much cleaner water to the farms, and they allow for growers to turn on and off as needed, therefore, again, reducing tail end spills on the system. So here again, we're looking at some pictures of our crews doing some good work installing these precise measurement devices. You can see in the bottom right corner there, we've got an old irrigation box which is leaking. If the water stacks up, it overtops and runs into the farmers' fields. And there's no way for growers to turn on and off as needed when they are irrigating. So the modern system is a much better setup and what we've been migrating over to. And then, of course, just a few shots here of some key lateral installs that we've done over the years. And again, when we're enclosing these laterals, it reduces seepage loss. It improves the water delivery efficiencies and just creates a more easily managed system for the district. So to date, the Sunnyside Division has invested over $22 million of its own money in the conservation effort, and we've conserved over 38,000 acre feet of water at an average cost of $2,000 per acre feet. So I highlight that average cost because in this basin, historically, we have some checkpoints. And anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 is the average going rate for an acre foot of water if a user was to try and purchase an acre foot of water. So this program has been very successful, and at a federal level, it's a well-regarded program because of the cost of doing business with it, right? I mean, $2,000 per acre foot is pretty budget. It's pretty budget costs there. So. The other piece that we look at here is the 38,000 acre feet of conserved water. Without that conserved water, we would not have the ability to help the outmigrating fish with the pulse flows. And that's one of the key uses of this conserved water is there's a committee in the Yakima Basin that makes biological recommendations to the Bureau of Reclamation. And based on those recommendations, they will target specific times to help the fish outmigrate. So there's been a lot of studies done, and there's a lot of information that shows that if you can create these artificial pulses of water, it helps these fish move and get out of the system before the levels in the river get too warm or we have too low of flows. There's any number of reasons why we lose the outmigrating fish, but the conservation efforts is critical to that, and so definitely something we like to highlight there. So. And then last, I guess, looking forward, we're just hopeful that this week's forecast for snow holds up and that we start seeing some of that. So if there's any questions for me, I would be happy to answer them.
So we have any questions for David? I think one of the things that we talked about before, and maybe Joe can help me out with the question here, is that we wanted to know, just in how the conservation of water, the many projects that you've worked on to preserve water within the basin, how does that impact Sunnyside as a community? I mean, and has climate really changed the way that we look at the droughts? Has that had impact on some of the programs that you guys have been working on?
Well, yeah, I mean, climate is always at the forefront, right? So we look at the hydrograph, and it's a changing hydrograph, and the climate revolves around that. And so we look at precipitation in this basin, and we're still getting similar precipitation to what we've historically seen in the basin. It's just that it's coming more in the form of rain than it is actually coming in the form of snow anymore. And so from act on the entire basin, which includes Sunnyside as well, is that as we see more and more precip coming in the form of rain, we can't store that. I mean, we only have what we have that can store this water, and so we're going to see continual droughts without additional storage in the basin. And so as we have the continual droughts, that's going to impact growers, landowners, municipal users in all of these communities, including Sunnyside.
Oh, it can really hurt Sunnyside if the wells drop too. Because I don't know how the wells are in Sunnyside. I know like Moxie and other parts of the country. I don't know how deep our wells are. But that would be a primary concern right there, is that the aquifers aren't getting replenished, and you're gonna have to re-drill your wells. And I don't know, I'm sure this storage area that you have done with SVIG, I'm sure that's kind of helped. Maybe they're lined though, aren't they? Or all those reservoirs lined that you fill?
Yep. Reservoirs are lined.
Yeah.
So
that's not going back in the aquifers, but
it's not. So groundwater aquifer recharge. So they call these ASR projects, aquifer recharge storage projects. We've looked at a lot of those in the basin, and Sunnyside is a member of the Yakima Basin Integrated Plan. And through the Yakima Basin Integrated Plan, we're working with different stakeholders to try and identify locations where we can run pilot projects to actually pump water back into these declining aquifers when we have storm events like this.
Yeah. I'm sorry, we lost you for a minute.
Yeah, the thing about Sunnyside that was kind of built like kind of a lower spot, was kind of alkali when there's a lot of drainage there. So probably would have, I would think the wells would be pretty good.
Yep, and sorry about that if I'm cutting in and out on you guys.
Yeah, kind of a drain. I mean, the drain dishes go through the town and around the town, so that tells you a little bit about the water tables are,
We go through there.
So I have a question. What David, what do you guys have in place for water conservation for the farms and so for example, dairies and just regular farmers for their expansion of their facilities and their need for more water during a drought time? Are they limited, or because they have the funds to pay for the extra water, us as a smaller guys get the short end of that stick?
Can I say something here? I have water in 3 counties, and Kittitas was hit the hardest. I'm Kittitas, and 2,000 acres are irrigated, and I'm here, and I'm up in Clickitat. But I'm saying money doesn't talk when it comes to water. It's priority, first in time, first in line. So like the senior water rights, which we are lucky that SVID is a senior water right holder, that goes proportionately to all the water holders. So it's not money like in Kittitas, you're able to buy some extra water from someone that wasn't using it, but that's really rare and limited. And everybody suffers. So it's the big companies don't have, unless someone's willing to transfer it or give it or rent it, lease it to them, or they can buy it. That's really kind of rare, except you might be able to talk, David, about how the Rosa works their deals, to help the SVID people, because Rosa's junior, just like Kittitas is all junior.
Junior rights.
So David, you might be able to say how you were able to help the Rosa people too.
But
Yeah.
could you kind of answer Juan's first question there?
Yeah, I think that that was really well spoken there. But yeah, so when you talk water rights, first in time, first in right is exactly right there. And so Sunnyside is a primarily senior irrigation district. We do have some junior water in our portfolio. But one decision that our board made in the late 80s was that any irrigators in our district would share and share alike. So if we are prorated on our junior piece, that proration is spread across all of the users in our irrigation district. And so no one user is going to get more allotment than another in our district. So I hope that answers the rationing question, I guess. So rationing is equally distributed between all users. Now, the following piece, we do offer that opportunity, and that's something that we allow on a voluntary basis. So we announce it to our growers and we let them know that we have a fallowing program open. And in past years, the fallowing program was from district to district. And so we would fallow the ground, we'd tally the totals, and then we would lease that water over to Rosa, and Rosa would use that water to help extend their irrigation season. And that water would then be distributed among their users in their district. This year was a little bit different than past years, and there was a number of reasons why it played out this way. But as I noted in the presentation, we actually this year fallowed the ground and then leased it to the Department of Ecology, which again, that water did benefit other ag users, but the sole purpose of that water for this year was for outmigrating fish. But again, without that water, that would have been a direct hit on the proratables bucket, because without that water, it's got to come from somewhere else. And being first in time, first in right, it's coming from the junior buckets before it ever comes from the senior buckets.
I have a question, like when you do a pressurized system, that really saves a lot of electricity because you don't have pumps that go off and on. And you save so much more water if you convert, to pressurize like a pivot, say doing flood irrigation or wheel lines. Are you gonna be putting more of those systems in? I know we're the end user out there and we're hopeless for getting it, but like, are you gonna, cause we're a Midvale and Bishop Road, but are you gonna be doing more of those systems? Cause that really is good for the environment to save water and electricity.
We are, and so that's something I didn't touch on, and thank you for bringing that up. But when we enclose these laterals, we are putting them under pressure. And so we collect the head pressure from the main canal down to the turnouts. And so it's gravity pressure system, but in a lot of cases, we have enough pressure on the system that irrigators are able to actually remove their pumps from their systems and operate just off of the pressure of the lateral. So that's a benefit. And then second to that, we have the fact that now we've got a point of delivery that has precise measurements. It can be turned on and off accurately, which then allows for additional conservation on the farm side. So without our improvements, the farm really can't do any improvements. But once we've made our improvements, we see that then these growers and irrigators are making further improvements to their system, which just is a nice trickle down of continued conservation. And then finally, to answer your question, are we going to continue to do this? Yes, we're currently the Ellipse Phase 2 program is slated to run through 2045. So we still have
Great. Okay.
20 plus years of conservation work to go.
Okay, so don't forget about the people on the south side of town. That's all I gotta say.
It's not hopeless, I promise you. We'll get there eventually.
We need it.
Okay.
I got another question. It's not on the conservation side, but it's more of the source protection. Do you guys test for VOCs, IOCs, trihalomethanes in the irrigation water of the runoff from farms and agriculture?
We have a runoff program, but we're not sampling those specific criteria. No, we do total suspended solids and a few others.
Do you guys do nitrates?
Yep.
And have you guys noticed an increase in the amount of nitrate in the receiving waters?
No,
I would not say that we have, no.
cause we watch, we look and we watch and we see the drain ditches for us, so we check.
As a grower.
Well, you can't have any runoff, you
Yeah.
know, you can't have any runoff.
No.
I mean, I don't know that it has runoff, you know.
I guess.
The problem is that, you know, you have a whole, this is a valley and you have a low point, which is a drain ditch. So the water naturally goes underground or through to that drain ditch, you know, you see it like everything, so.
Yeah.
So like,
The ones that
I
run out
mean,
of
there
time.
can't be, everybody has to be, can't have runoff.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's sort of like with the city's storm shelter or the
drain, the storm drains,
stormwater.
yeah.
And we've really monitored that.
Well, I say the biggest pollution is the city streets, cause all that water goes in the storm water drains,
Yes.
where does that go with all the oil and all the debris? All the pieces of plastic and all the pieces of
I
rubber from
think
the
Hector
tire,
might be.
so then where does that go from the storm drains?
So there are some that are connected to SID, but we are at the moment working on a program to get those disconnected. So we are able to monitor it ourselves and
But where does that go from a storm drain then, where do you?
those go. Well, here I'm not quite sure, cause I need to find out more about that information, but
If you could, that would be good.
okay.
Because I'm sure that goes to the river, cause the sulfur drain ditch goes right to the river. And everything's probably going to the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Yakima River, I mean, like, think about where your water's going down your street, you know, think about what's in that water, and everybody's. I think the number one culprit is fertilizer in your yards. You know, if you have rain or sprinklers and it washes your fertilizer off and it goes into the edge of the street and goes right into the stormwater, and think of where that stormwater is, like, I know in Seattle. You know, a lot of places they have like a salmon on those manhole covers, you know, the people say, hey, don't dump anything in there, it's going for the fish, you know.
Yeah,
but-
I think there's a couple of places here in town where it's
Do they?
safely parking lots on.
Yeah, so the city,
Where, yeah,
the city actually does have a program, in conjunction with, is it Yakima County?
Yes.
And they go through, they have a storm drain crew that they go through every year and clean out all the storm drains.
good.
And then the street sweeper also helps with that.
You still getting the water.
Oh, yeah.
Like all the rainwater coming off the yards and like tire has a bunch of debris. And then I found out like rubber tires have something in there for a preservative that comes off. There's a chemical that comes off those tires. I mean, I didn't even know that was in existence, you know?
Your piles of wood around your house too.
The what?
The piles of wood around your house.
What does that have?
It's treated, a lot of it's treated with different chemicals for preservation, you know.
The ones you buy, the wood you
Yeah,
buy.
yeah.
Oh.
And we do have a program which is called the MS4 that we have to follow to the T. For this particular reason, there is I believe a state-wide program that we're working with WashDOT and Yakima County to preserve all the water, so we don't let it go to the river.
Maybe because there's so much shooter, people dumping their oil down there. I don't know if they do that anymore when they're changing their car oil, but I mean, there's just a lot that all this can do as citizens to patrol. What's
Well,
going
I
in
think
those
that
stormwater
gets back
drains.
to some of but we're really talking about climate too, so, but the water is very
Well,
important.
you're talking about
part of it.
water all day today.
Yeah, we've talked about water, that's what we've been doing.
I'll just jump in real quickly on
Yes,
Hector's
if you
point
would.
there. So on the MS4 permit, funny corollary. So Sunnyside Valley Irrigation is actually a secondary permit holder on the city of Sunnyside's MS4 permit. So just a little note there.
What does MS4 stand for?
Oh gosh, I wish I could tell you that right off
What
the
does
top of
that
my head.
mean? Yeah.
I wish I could tell you, I really don't.
Oh, you guys,
Um,
okay.
It's those-
Is
those,
it discharge permit or what is it?
Yeah, municipal stormwater.
Maybe municipal
Stormwater.
So it's going in like, okay, so is it the sulfur drain then? Cause you control the sulfur drain, right? Is it going into that?
Sulfur, yeah, the sulfur wasteway, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
And the Walmart parking lot, that's another one. Is that going into the drain?
No, so they should all, yeah,
What?
they should
Those are all
all,
on site.
yeah, drain.
So what happens to the Walmart parking lot? All the water, surface water from the rain, where does that go then?
They have their own drainage,
Oil separator.
separator and everything should be in their
And then
parking
it goes
lot.
into the drain ditch?
It doesn't come to us at all.
All right,
They have,
let's, yeah,
I'm
let's,
just curious, you
yeah,
know, 'cause
well,
you see
let's,
that.
let's save that for, maybe we can come back to that.
Well, you're talking about water today,
Yes,
Jessica,
but one of the things is I'm wondering if, do you have any more slides that you wanted to show us, or are you pretty much there?
Nope, that was it. That was all I had for slides.
Okay, well, thank you, David, for coming and getting us some good information on what's going on with SBID and how it does impact us, the city's water supply and water usage. And again, with the stormwater, we have some issues with that, and sounds like we have some sort of plans in place that we're working to kind of deal with the water as we do return it back to the river. So that's the only.
I'd like to know more about that for the future meeting. What we're doing with the water.
I have it on here.
Yeah, like what, I mean, Hector, I know you're new, so you don't. know
No,
about what
he's.
I'm working on it.
He's
Yeah,
working
but
on
I
it.
mean, you know, I'm just curious, you know, like, to me, I don't want pollution on the river, so.
Oh, absolutely
I'm
not.
just
I mean,
curious what
our
it's in
our main factor right now, I think, is with this climate advisory group is how do we protect the city's how as far as how the climate impacts the city. What we do as citizens and as cute as you mentioned about people the runoff from their
From
yards and stuff.
And then the other thing is like, you know, let's know more about our wells. I don't know how deep the wells are or like where the levels are. I mean, like, do we have to worry about that? Because that's what happens in a drought situation is that your wells
Excuse me,
go dry.
can I say something?
Yeah, go
For
ahead,
those of us
Maria.
are on Zoom, when people talk over other people, we can't hear either person very well. So can we ask that everybody talk one at a time?
Excellent point, Maria. All right. Well, David, we're gonna let you just listen as we move on with our agenda. We've got some more things to do, and we'll put some of these ideas that have been brought up. We'll put those on our for future agenda because we do want to do that. But I think for now, thank you very much for bringing us this information. It was very brought us some real things to think about. So.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to all the good work that you guys are doing here in this committee.
Okay, good job.
Thank you for that
Maybe
presentation.
back to you. I'm sorry, Maria.
But I do have a question. It's not for David, it's actually for Lucia. What are the water conservation efforts on the part of the port?
So, you know, I heard her. I'm just.
She's thinking. Give her a minute.
So, as you know, we have a wastewater treatment plant. So your question is, how are we trying to conserve water? The water that we treat is from the users here with the industrial users here within the community. So we are treating their water and then discharging it. Are we trying to reduce the amount of water that we're treating, if that's what you're asking? It would be hard to do that when we have industries that are continuously growing, and their growth does support economic development within our community. So are we limiting their water? The water they receive is from the city, not from the port. They just send us their water to clean. So
the port doesn't own any water rights?
To my knowledge at the moment, no. But
okay, because I just remember like last year there was a transfer of water rights.
Yes, and that is for our spray. So we have water for our spray fields, and that we have transferred some water rights over the years during the droughts. That we elected not to irrigate our farms, or our spray fields during those summer months because we were in a drought, and we sold that water back to agencies like SBID, Rosa, what have you.
So you helped others, Sunnyside.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the question. All right, and thank you for the great answer too. It's good to know. Okay, well then I think if everybody's ready to move on, let's move on to the item to review the document from the climate resilience workbook.
Okay, so
go ahead, Joe.
at the last couple of meetings, we looked at earlier pages from the climate resilience workbook where we went through and identified the community assets and then looked at the different hazards identified in the UW climate mapping software. This subsequent step kind of marries those two things together. So there's a number of pages here where we go through basically taking those assets, pairing them to the hazards, and then it's more of a data a data dump from the climate mapping software. So to take ag production, packing and distribution centers, the data from UW shows that that's affected, from that asset is affected by extreme heat, drought, extreme precipitation, and wildfire in different ways. And so, keep in mind again, this is really high level, data from the UW mapping site. We'll get into greater detail as we move into subsequent steps. But this whole document just kind of follows that. I've got it separated out by the different sectors. So it goes from ag production to the commercial industrial buildings, Sunnyside Museum, retail, parks and open space, fire and police, medical, transportation, waste management, water distribution, residential, commercial. So it kind of just goes through all those different hazard and asset pairings that we looked at previously. And this kind of again has a high level analysis of how these different hazard types are expected or anticipated to affect those pairings.
So what are we supposed to do with this?
Well, but again, this is,
Can you, Deb, already make up all this information, this is correct? And we
yes.
go by this, so we don't, do we try to change it, or we try to adjust it, or what? What do
So
we do?
the subsequent steps within
Yeah.
the climate guidance and in the workbook will provide more information for that. This is again just,
What now, say that again, please?
we'll get there.
Okay,
So-
but what do we?
So, for example, this first one, ag production for extreme heat, we'll get into more greater detail as far as how this actually is affected in Sunnyside. This is really high level data from the state, then we'll
So
drill
this is
down in
gonna tell us
subsequent
what's gonna
steps.
happen in Sunnyside?
In a way, yeah, but
Okay,
then.
then we need that information to make decisions, or?
Yeah,
we-
so the net result of all this will be coming up with goals and policies in the climate element to address the concerns identified here.
Okay.
So, with David's presentation, that could yield, a goal or policy about, he mentioned the 3 to 5 miles of pipe being enclosed and all the benefits therein. So areas in the city that still have exposed ditches, that could be a goal or policy of the city to try and prioritize those areas. And maybe there's more ways that the city and SDID can work together to make that happen. So that would be, a potential outcome.
We
of
should
this effort.
ask them when he's gonna pipe the canal in Harrison,
Well, we still on. We can always.
We should ask them that would be a big
That's-
thing.
yeah, I think-
So
that
it's
would be-
those types of discussions that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
these are,
Try to help,
We'll get to, yeah.
that would be good.
All right, so.
so it's a lot of information. I mean, like I said, it's kind of a cut and paste at this point, so it's really just more of a
Guideline?
informational for now. Once we get into some of the subsequent steps, where the next one is gonna be looking at all the current goals and policies that the city has that are related to the climate in one way or another, and seeing how those might fit into these, and then identifying additional ones. So,
The city's current goal, current.
current
policy.
plan, yeah.
We'll have to balance that off. I see there was a thing here at the end, that you'll probably get to that and explain this page.
Is that you?
When we get to it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. Really,
I can go.
I got it.
Well, this was just requested at the last meeting, how the teams put together.
So
Right,
who came up with this?
well, we did, didn't we? It was a great
You, Jack?
No, this was codified in the municipal
in
code.
the municipal code.
Okay.
So this is our what we're supposed to do. So, because we wanted to know in the particulars of what
Yeah.
our duties, our roles and the terms and that sort of thing, how often we meet. So, okay, so we have that done, that's nice,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, how
Taking
many
care of
people
that.
being involved in this? In our budget side?
Excuse me, what are you looking at?
Well, I was looking at number 6, like you said, look at this last page, and like, I mean, is this open to people residents that don't live in Sunnyside?
I think. I'm not sure.
I think I would like clarification on that.
I think that
I
would
would
be
like
something.
clarification because, you know,
It is a public meeting, so why wouldn't?
Yeah.
I think that
and
people,
anybody from the public.
Well, we are
comments,
going-
or do
well,
you
here-
have-
Well, this is the membership.
this is
I know,
just
so
a
I'm
membership,
asking you like, okay.
but no, not necessarily. But we are planning to have this one to present, we'll have some public
Yeah, there'll be
forums
public meetings.
where we have people come, and if they want to ask questions,
Okay,
add
no,
comment,
I
public
didn't
comments.
realize that. I'm
But
just
this-
asking this number 6.
Can I ask Ms. Vandergraaf to stop interrupting because I can't hear the people who are talking?
I'm just talking to Julia. I'm asking her a question.
Well, but I'm also in the meeting and I can't hear Julia when you're talking over her.
I'll try to speak up.
I thought I had a
It's-
lot better.
the mic is kind of far from me, but I'll try to use my stage voice, okay? So we can do that. No, I don't think, I think what you're saying is true, because I know when we had a couple of people who wanted to be on the Sunnyside Advisory Group, did we want them to live in Sunnyside? Did we want them to have some sort of Sunnyside connection, whether it was business, ag-wise, or, medical or shopping or just whatever it was? We really tried to just limit it to folks who actually are impacted within the city and the surrounding area. So yeah, but I think you're right on that, Karen, as far as that
They
goes.
got cut off right here, number 6.
Yeah.
That
And then, well,
sentence got
then it
cut off.
says, but then it just goes, and one council member serving ex officio, and that's me. I just happen to be, I just happen to be the
All
chair.
right, okay.
That Ann is, that's what that Ann is for.
Okay,
Good catch.
all right, okay.
All right. So back to the review of the workbook, this information. So this is everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, so this is the task is called pairing assets and hazards, describe the exposure and consequences. So the following steps will take this data and narrow it down even further. So again, it's really just an informational item. There's no action needed or anything like that at this point in time.
So we can read this at our leisure a
Yeah.
little bit, kind of go over it a little bit more.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, and there's a lot to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of
And
information.
we've been working on it for a little while to gather the information too.
And going back and forth between different Excel tabs is really fun.
I know, well, and you guys have worked hard. I'm sorry I haven't been a part of it, maybe it's a bigger bit.
Well, your
I'm
question,
excited about the work.
yeah,
I have a lot to contribute because like I said, I have to do a lot on all these areas. I'm also a conservation supervisor in Clickitat County too. I don't know
are
if
you really? I
know
didn't know that. Oh, cool.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
Eastern Clickitat,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. See,
So-
well, you bring some knowledge.
Well, conservation is really important to me, but
Okay,
and on the water, on the water, I think it's a big deal in my life.
yeah,
And I want to-
well, it would be, it would be. Okay, so then, the items from committee members, it says here, Joe, that you're gonna be bringing some pages from the climate resilient workbook for us, is that this?
Yeah, that was this.
That was this?
Yep.
And do we have to take action on what's going to be, it says here, take action on 2 items that were presented on, well, today.
Well, the vote for the approval, but it passed, so we did that.
All right,
The actions were taken.
yeah, okay,
And then obviously, the resilient workbook, there's no action, so
No
I'll
action.
just, will fix that up.
so, okay, so we're just talking on action on the one item,
Mhm.
okay. Thank you for clarifying that for us,
Mhm.
okay, so, do we have some items for the next meeting?
Yes.
Do you have anything else for us, Joe, before we do that?
No,
Okay, good, all right,
Yeah, so next items, I will look for where does stormwater go in our town, obviously, get better clarification. I will, look over my MS4 books to see, hit the highlights of our program. And then, get some information on our wells and what the depths are.
Yeah, the wells is a big deal for me, because if you're talking about climate, the first thing you should worry about is water for your citizens.
well, your aquifers go up and.
Your water, yeah.
Yeah.
One of our deepest wells is well 9. That's about, if I remember correctly, about 1,600 feet.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
a lot of them aquifer,
I'm not sure what.
I'm not sure which aquifer it is,
because I'm in that too, up in the horse 7.
but,
yeah.
the big.
Okay, that's good, and
No,
then that's
where's-
the deepest well?
I believe that's our deepest well.
Do you
And
remember
then
what number 9 is that?
Number
Air
9.
Park,
Is it?
The number 9 is that one at the airport. That's our largest producer.
That's down at the, that's
It's like Nathan, like I said, you know, it's has high water table, so we're probably better off than some cities, you know, but I don't know. That's why it's curious, you know, to kind of know that ahead of time.
Yeah,
I mean, we need to prepare. We're gonna have another drought 3 years in a row, you know, or 4 years.
as he suggested, especially I think that, you know, not that it's something that we can certainly support as an advisory group, I believe, when they start talking about how are they gonna create reservoirs to catch the runoff from the floods. That's always been a problem for me, thinking about all that water's just going down the drain. I mean, when it floods down in the city, when it floods up in Natchez or up on the Sadis or anywhere that there's flooding going on, that water, we lose it. And there's no way to capture it.
Because they don't build any more reservoirs.
Well,
No,
you know,
and
they've
or
got
deep in the existing reservoirs either, you know.
well, there's the one that they did, well, I should have had Dave talk about that one, but there's the one that was that they did up at the end of oh shoot, I went out there for a ribbon cutting out there or something. Maybe that was Rosa. But way out at the end of what's the name of the road out here? It's 16th and then it turns into Washout. Clear, thank you. Clear at the end of Washout, and you go and then there's a great big reservoir that they built out there as a saving reservoir. So okay, so
so I got.
is there anything else there for
Not that I know. Not that I have written down.
okay.
But if there's anything else,
So are we then with Joe? Have you got some more stuff for us?
Yeah, so I'll have the next phase in the workbook is the review of existing plans. And then I can also, now that we've got the public participation plan finalized, I've got some draft survey questions that we can review and look at. And get that out after the first of the year, to kind of get that initial public involvement part and on its way.
Okay. Great.
Is that gonna be like a survey?
Yeah.
Hey, what do we get to see it before it goes out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
And I would like to add something about, you know, because we talk about a lot of the heavy rains, but what about an extreme drought? You know, like, and the windy days, you know, especially the spring ones, with the increase in particulate matter in the air.
Yes, sure.
If there's any correlation or any, I guess, mitigative efforts that we can come up with. So, you know, people with breathing problems, you know, the elderly, you know, infant children.
Okay.
That it affects the most.
Yeah.
That's a good. See if we can get some information on that. And maybe put some of that information into the draft survey. So, Maria, have you got anything you want to ask about for next time?
Yeah, I just want to concur with Juan there. And also I think that when you're talking about like particulate matter, we have local scientists that have been working for decades on those issues, like Friends of Toppenish Creek. I think that just like you all invited David, that we could invite those particular scientists to come in and talk about that. Also talking about runoff from ag and dairies, because that does happen. And so, yeah, I think that in terms of like next items, I'd also like to include just having an orderly meeting because it didn't feel very orderly to me today.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
That's my fault.
Yeah. So just as an item of discussion this next week, so that we can have some ground rules and establishing Robert's Rules of Order, the chair recognizing those who need to speak or who have to speak, just to bring some more order to the meeting.
I feel like the meeting was very organized, but you're on a Zoom call, so you might have heard it differently because Julia's pretty soft spoken and I'm pretty louder.
Well, I would ask the rest of the board to
Mine
say.
sounded really jumbled, you know.
It's all right.
I didn't feel like I was unorganized when the meeting, if you were here.
Well,
And also I think just
Yeah.
having, you know, the preparedness before coming into a meeting so that we're not catching up other people. Because the rest of us have done our homework already.
Well, as long as I get the documents, I would have been, you know, if I would have had all these documents, I could have done my homework.
well, we will.
I'll make sure on
We
that.
will. Yeah, that's Hexter's job.
Yeah, I'm usually really prepared for all the meetings.
Well, I did give you a little bit of grace. You've had a rough day.
I just checked and see if I had an email that I missed here, and anyway.
It's all good. We'll get it all sorted out so that everybody's on the same page. Since you're here, before we get ready to, we're kind of running over our time a little bit. So aren't we trying to keep this to just about an hour? But since you're here, Lucia, would you like to give us a couple of updates on what's happening over at the port, just as they apply to water situations and conservation?
Well, like I mentioned, as in regards to conservation, we've sold back our water for, I think, at least 2 years. It may have been more during these years of drought. So that's proven helpful. The program that he mentioned with ecology and the salmon, we participated with that in this past year. So, I mean, however we can help, we're always open to doing that. With regards to projects at the port, we are currently looking at an expansion for our industrial wastewater treatment plant. As I mentioned, we treat all of the wastewater for the industrial users in the community of Sunnyside. As we can all see, our users aren't slowing down. If anything, they're growing. And so in order to be able to continue to serve them, we will have to look at new expansions at the plant. Those plans are currently being looked into, and we don't see anything being implemented probably until 2027. Trying to grow with our industries and so that we can be proactive and not reactive.
Are you seeing funds available to do that? Are there funds available for you to help expand and pay for all that?
There is funding available. We actually run a pretty tight ship at the treatment plant, and so looking at the expansions that we have coming up, we may be able to fund majority of it with little funding necessary.
That's awesome, because that's very good.
Yeah.
With the part of the port treats, is it all just for the land? Is it all reapplied on the land you guys own, or do you guys have discharge to a receiving water canal?
We discharge clean water to the canal.
Okay.
So we treat all of our water. The water that is distributed onto our spray fields as part of our spray field permit. We actually, every year we're doing less and less because we're trying to get away from that. Just because a lot of that land is available for purchase from people looking to purchase land. And so the idea is we have the capacity to treat the water. Let's treat the water, get it clean, and discharge it back to the drain. I would like to clarify, there was a comment at the last meeting that we put solids on our spray fields. We do not. We have a dewatering facility that takes all of our solids. We do not discharge any solids onto our spray fields. At least that's my understanding.
Isn't it liquefied?
No.
No, the water that we spray out onto our spray fields is actual effluent that we receive, but there are no solids in there to my understanding. I'm assuming you are referring to liquefied manure?
Right.
Yeah, we don't put that on our spray fields. We do, there are pieces of our land that we rent out to farmers who farm that land. They may put that on that land. We do not control how they farm that land.
Really? So we've talked to neighbors around your industrial park, and a few people would disagree with you.
Like I said, we rent out a decent amount of our land, and so if there is liquid manure being put on that land, it's by a farmer, not by the port.
But it's not monitored by the port at all? Just in case there is an overabundance of spraying happening in that stretch of land?
There are limits to what they can put on, yes.
But it's just if I could step in, so it's not monitored by the port.
No.
Is it monitored by anyone?
Well, the EPA, can I inject here?
Just a minute.
Can I inject?
Go ahead, let me answer and then you can feel free. There are, like you mentioned, EPA and ecology, they've gone out on several instances where farmers were farming their land and checked those things. And so it is our understanding all of those things are within those limits, and there hasn't been an issue.
Okay.
There is a lot of rules that the EPA has, the Department of Ecology, as far as application of manure, whether it's solid or liquid. And also you have to have soil tests, you have to have the correct temperature, you can't have it frozen ground. with liquid manure. There are a lot of guidelines that everybody's trying to follow exactly, you know, so there are a lot of rules, so no one's gonna over apply. And no one's, and it's expensive to over apply, there's no reason to over apply. And everybody's gonna do within the guidelines of Department of Ecology and EPA.
Maria?
Yeah, that's not entirely true. We know that there are a lot of guidelines, rules, regulations that
Well,
are.
Maria, I don't know if you're in agriculture.
Please do not interrupt me when I am speaking.
Okay,
So I'm gonna finish what I have to say,
Yes.
Karen. So we know that that is not true. Like I said, we work with a bunch of scientists also who would beg to differ on the practices of both the ag industry and the dairy industry. So it is not out of the realm that we are, as a community, are dealing with industries that are causing runoff, that are overspraying actual liquefied manure in a way that is not compliant. So again, I'm going to stick with what I said, and I don't need somebody telling me different when we're talking to scientists and we're talking actively to community members who are witnessing something very differently and experiencing something very differently.
Okay,
Can I talk?
just 1 second before we go on. Let's just make sure that we are trying to talk about climate resiliency and how we can best, our job here is to kind of point out what's going on, and then we're supposed to help come up with some suggestions moving forward. The other thing is this all goes into not just our community, but it's also a statewide project, but a county project right now for us. Is working, would you explain that?
So all jurisdictions in the state are required to create a climate element for the comprehensive plan. So Sunnyside is creating one for the city limits, the other cities in the county's creating its own, all the other jurisdictions statewide are doing the same thing.
So as far as the county goes, some of these things like that Ms. Fernandez brought up, and some of the things that Ms. Navarro also brought up, those things are things that can work in. Some of them are outside the city limits, is what I guess I'm trying to get to. And we are really trying to focus on what's inside, but we know that what happens outside city limits absolutely has an impact on what's going on in the city. And Ms. Erickson also mentioned the fact about the stormwater situation, and Hector will bring us back some information on that so we can get a little clearer picture of how that's being treated. Thank you very much for explaining about how the treatment at the water at the port is going. If there's any way, can you just double check that for us as far as the solids going on to any of those fields? Or
so there is a little bit of solid called TSS, total suspended solids, but that is there's a calculation for that, and most treatment plants try to be between 87 and 97% reduction rate from your influent to your effluent, which falls within the
what comes in and what goes out.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for explaining that. Clarifying that. Okay. I know there's probably more stuff, but I think we got a lot of good comments come out of today's meeting. I think we got a lot of work to do, and I think if we study what we've got and some of the material, Karen, if you can work with Joe and Hector to get some of that, get some of that other material that we've already, that we've already worked on. We want to be able to make sure to get you up to date, because I know if you're not here, it's hard to know what we've already covered, and some of the questions might be ones we've already discussed, and you're asking them now, and that's okay. I mean, if you don't know,
Well, usually when you're at a meeting, usually you get the minutes. Or you get some kind of information about what happened at the meeting, minutes to approve ahead of time. So, I could have read all that. I must have missed those emails.
Well, we will do our best to make sure everybody gets the information that's required to make some good decisions, and also to as we move ahead here. So the next things that Joe is going to be bringing to us, just so I make sure that Hector has it. I wrote down, I think, what it was, but would you
review existing plans, which is a function of the workbook, and then some draft survey questions
in the draft survey. Okay, so those are the things we will see at our next meeting, which will be If
It's on this.
Let me just look, it says we meet on the third Tuesday of the month, so if somebody has a calendar. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
So in January,
The 20th.
20th.
the 20th,
At
so
2
we will
o'clock.
meet again on 20th at 2 o'clock.
Mhm.
And Hector, will we have this room?
I believe so, unless someone has it before me.
And there's another room if we can't have this room. Does it have the
Yes.
Zoom capability?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, and Hector, thank you for getting all the material to us that we did get today, and appreciate your extra effort to get the stuff from SVID out to us. Appreciate that. Is there any other thing to come before the commission or advisory group before we adjourn for the day?
I have a question. Do we have a deadline to have all this information?
Yes, we do. We have one deadline that's
What is-
December 6th. No, that's
December
okay.
next year.
December of 2026.
December of 20, and then is the committee done with, or?
I'm not sure what happens to us after that.
Yeah, that's in the
Do we
SMC terms, the terms for all climate resilience advisory team members shall expire at the time the climate resilience element is adopted by the council.
By the
Okay,
city council.
so that's our deadline and the committee's done and done their job.
Correct.
So we have so many of these to go through.
Mhm.
How many total pages do we have?
Well, we've already got.
There's a dozen tabs on the workbook, and then there's,
Okay.
the other documents, the
Okay.
public participation plan which we did today, and, there will be the full draft, there will be
Okay.
draft goals and policies, so there's a
A lot.
lot of information.
Okay.
And I'll work with Hector on getting the website updated as well with the now approved public participation plan, and then the PDFs of the workbook pages that we've gone through
Okay,
and
so-
modified.
So we'll go through that and then put our notes on here and to discuss next time.
We can discuss this next time, this is more of a, again, just,
Just a-
it's,
information.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
And thanks for clarifying that and asking about times, because we do need to keep that at the forefront. It's just a year away today.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, if there's nothing further, I think we can adjourn at
3:21.
3:21.
Maybe we'll start having normal climate year. Gosh, I hope so. It's tough. It's tough when you're a landlord. I mean,
Okay, meeting adjourned.
I've had it really tough with this drought deal. I mean, I don't know how much more. It's again, why I
I have a rubber band.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
David.
You guys
You're
take it
still
easy. I
here.
look forward to being there in person next time around.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Good
Merry
day.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.